Everybody has experienced a dead car battery that prevents the vehicle's engine from starting. On the other hand, if the car is powered but won't start, the alternator or battery aren't the problem. You should search for additional offenders in this instance. We take a close look at each of these issues in this video and explain what you should do to start the engine. The entire cost of repairs is also examined in this guide. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Defective starter motor. To start the car, the starter motor is fastened to the engine and engages with the flywheel. The crankshaft spins when the starter is engaged, which starts the engine. The engine cannot get the necessary jump when the starter fails. When you turn the key in the ignition, you might hear a clicking sound or nothing at all if the starter is broken. But because the starter is in charge of this process, the engine won't crank at all. Poor transmission range selector contact. There is a range selector in the shifter for the automatic transmission. This component is also known as the neutral safety switch. It may occasionally have a bad electrical contact, which makes it more difficult for the engine to detect whether it is in park or neutral. Fortunately, if the issue isn't irreversible, it may be easy to resolve. Press the brake pedal and shift the lever into neutral. Try turning the engine on once more. Put it back in park and give it another go if it doesn't work. The shifter might only need to be moved in order to restore electrical contact. Bad starter solenoid. The issue may still be with this system even if the starter motor is operational. In certain instances, the starter solenoid bears the responsibility. Although some older cars have the part separate, the solenoid is typically found on the starter itself. The engine won't crank or start if the starter solenoid isn't working properly. If this component fails, you won't hear a clicking sound either. Defective wiring. To keep the car running, a number of wires that connect the switch to the starter must be in good condition. Significant starting problems may arise if the wiring is damaged or disconnected for any reason. The car may also stall if the wiring that connects the starter solenoid to the ignition switch disconnects while you are driving. You have to look at every electrical wire's condition and connection in order to identify the problem. It might be a good idea to check the battery again. The car might have power, but not enough of it, so try jump-starting it. Seized engine. It is impossible to start the car if the engine seizes. But since the electronics are battery-operated, there shouldn't be any problems using any of them. Low engine oil or water in the system could have caused the engine to seize. Overheating and excessive engine wear are also contributing factors. How to fix? You should replace the starter if you've found that it's the problem. On the other hand, you could push start a car with a manual transmission just to get it going. Additionally, if you find that the starter solenoid is the problem, using an insulated screwdriver to bypass it is a simple process. To establish a bridge between the ignition switch and the starter motor, place the metal blade across the contacts. Even if you can start the car by fiddling with the gears, you should have the transmission range selector circuit replaced as soon as possible if that's the cause. When the car is in a drive gear, this crucial safety feature prevents it from starting. Dealing with defective wiring can be the most problematic problem. To verify the integrity, you must examine each connection and follow the wires. It is best to get assistance from a professional if you are unsure of what you are looking for. You are forced to replace or have the engine rebuilt if it has seized. It might not be worth the money if the car is older. Cost to fix. The amount required to have your car towed in depends on what initially caused the problem. The cost of replacing the starter could range from $400 to $600, with parts costing between $100 and $150 on average. A transmission range selector replacement should cost between $125 and $200. The parts should run you between $75 and $125, with the labor costing very little. The sensor is usually easy to locate and replace. The cost of labor to fix faulty wiring is typically higher than the cost of the parts. Finding the faulty wire or connection is the first step, and it can take some time if you don't know where to look. All you need to do to fix the issue, though, is replace the wire or re-establish the connection once you've located it. Since the engine has seized, replacing or rebuilding the motor will be the most costly course of action. In certain cars, swapping out the engine can quickly result in a parts and labor bill exceeding $3,000. Because of this, it's only a wise choice if the value of your car hasn't decreased. Depending on the kind of car you drive and where you take it for maintenance, each of these estimates varies. For the simple reason that luxury car parts are more expensive, you will pay more for them. You should also budget more if you decide to get servicing at a dealership. Hope the information was helpful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.